Hello and welcome to the 38th broadcast of the Nerdflix podcast. Today we will be doing a review on the new Batman movie, The Batman, and we'll also be discussing the newly dropped trailer on the eagerly anticipated Star Wars series, Kenobi. So let's get started.
Hello. I'm the Doctor. Basically, run.
Why so serious?
Hello, Peter.
Ferb, I know what we're gonna do today.
I got a bad feeling about this.
This is the way.
Welcome to the Nerdflix podcast. A few months ago, DC announced The Batman along with this first trailer, which was a while ago. I believe it was maybe October. I know I talked about it on the show when it was first announced. But I don't remember when, but I do remember they released that trailer, and I was pretty excited for it, and it looked pretty good. And after seeing it, I can say it was pretty good. It was a really, really decent movie. It was really long at 2 hours and 55 minutes, and they could have cut maybe 15 minutes, but besides that, it was a really good Batman movie. Maybe not the best. I still prefer some of the Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan movies over this one, but still, it was very good. It starts off on Halloween, which is pretty fitting for Batman, because he's kind of a creepy Halloween-ish villain. And on Halloween, the mayor of Gotham is killed by the Riddler. Throughout the movie, we also reference the Batman having been around in Gotham for about 2 years, so we don't see his origin in this one, but it does allude to the fact that he has been around for a while. And the Riddler keeps committing murders, and at each one, the Batman keeps finding cards for him, let's say, for the Batman, that have different riddles, drawing him to, telling the Batman what he will be doing next. The other two villains, the other main character in this movie is like James Gordon, who eventually later on in movies will probably become Commissioner Gordon, because that's who he is known as throughout the Batman universe. But we also have Penguin and Catwoman, who are the two main villains in Batman Returns, if you recall. Then we get into another series of murders and crimes the Riddler commits, along with a bomb incident at the funeral for the mayor of Gotham City, and later we find out that the Riddler is now targeting the Wayne family, or more specifically, Bruce Wayne, who is obviously the Batman. A bomb ends up in Wayne Manor that ends up putting Alfred in the hospital. Batman/Bruce Wayne wasn't there at the time, so it didn't actually, kill Bruce Wayne as it was anticipated to, but Alfred ended up getting seriously injured by that, and Alfred remained in the hospital for pretty much the remainder of the movie. The Riddler was finally caught later in the movie and arrested, put in the Arkham Asylum. That is, of course, that iconic asylum that we see throughout the Batman films and comics. But even after we put Riddler in Arkham Asylum, we still find out that it was too late and he's already had a major thing planned. There are bombs planted all along the walls of Gotham City that prevent floods, and those bombs go off and the entire city is flooded. And the Riddler's supporters, the Riddler's goons, are also going out dressed as the Riddler to assassinate the newly elected mayor. So Batman has a bunch of stuff he needs to stop. And after all the fighting, after Batman has saved the day, we get this really cool scene at the end of the movie with Riddler back in Arkham Asylum, where he's having this conversation with the patient who is in the cell next to him. And as we get further into the conversation, we realize who this is. This is, in fact, the Joker. The Joker is seeming to team up with the Riddler for the next movie, and I really hope it goes that way. That'd be really interesting. So they do allude to the Joker at the end of the movie. Batman has always been known for being like over the top with his gadgets, because he's all rich, so he has all kinds of cool high-tech stuff. So this movie interests me because it didn't seem like he had that much high-tech gadgets in this movie. And there were still plenty of high-tech things and gadgets, but he was a little less over the top kind of Iron Man with all that money. He was just kind of more simple, similar to Spider-Man. He put his own suit together and everything. And I actually thought that was a cooler approach for Batman, especially because it was a darker movie, so it made more sense. And Robert Pattinson did a really good job playing Batman. I also thought it was interesting to see that in this one, the Penguin wasn't really that much of a penguin. He wasn't the ridiculous penguin person he has been in the past, and particularly in Batman Returns. He was more of just a crime boss who vaguely resembled a penguin. So I thought that was a cool approach to the Penguin. But one scene I did really enjoy is they tied up his legs and arms and he had to waddle like a penguin, and that made me laugh. I thought that was a cool detail because obviously he's the Penguin. This movie also brought 3 of the coolest scenes in Batman movie history. One of them being a scene where Batman is hooking, using his grappling hook to go up a spiral staircase while police officers on the staircase shoot at him, but of course his suit is bulletproof, so it doesn't affect him. And another one was this spectacular car chase between Penguin and the Batman in his new Batmobile, which I wasn't sure of this Batmobile at first. It didn't look that great, because again, it just looked like a muscle car. It wasn't really that super high-tech one that we get in other movies, but it was actually really cool. And the whole sequence was awesome. Batman comes out of some fire, and that was actually used in the trailer. That was a cool effect. And the other one was he was going through this hallway where everything was dark. There were no lights, and the only light you could see was the occasional light of a gunshot. And eventually everyone started shooting at Batman, so you just saw these flashes of Batman coming down the hallway and just beating up all the guys in it. So I thought those were all some really cool sequences. And I was really excited to see the Joker at the end of that one. Joker is, of course, a very classic Batman villain, so it only makes sense to introduce him in this franchise at some point. Now, like I mentioned, this movie was pretty long, 2 hours, 55 minutes, so I'm interested to see how the length of the sequel will compare to this one. Will they go longer? I hope not. Or will they go shorter? But they shouldn't go too shorter. And I liked how they introduced the Joker. And I also liked how he was teaming up with the Riddler, because the Riddler was doing some Joker-like stuff in this movie with, they were both just insane criminals, and so they make a really cool team up for the next movie. So overall, it was a great movie, and I can't wait for the next one. There has been a number of Star Wars-inspired shows and Star Wars canon shows that have been going on for some time now. First, it was things like the Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, which are both animated and were pretty excellent shows. And now more recently, we've been getting those live-action shows with like The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett. They also made a spin-off of The Clone Wars, another animated show called The Bad Batch, and now we are getting the newest addition into that live-action lineup of Star Wars shows. Now, this one is, of course, the show about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, I'm still not very clear on what it's going to be called, because some different sources refer to it as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and some refer to it just as Kenobi, and from what I've heard, it's just being referred to as Kenobi or the Kenobi series. So I'm not quite sure what the official name is supposed to be, but it's either going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi or Kenobi. I'd say Kenobi makes a better name than his full name, though. This is going to feature the return of Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. I loved his performance as Obi-Wan Kenobi. He was probably one of, if not my favorite actor and character in the prequel movie, so I'm very excited to see him return. This is also going to feature the return of Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader, so I am excited for those two actors to appear again in the same, show. And yeah, so that should be cool. This show is going to fill in some gaps between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, when Obi-Wan is assigned to watch after Luke when he leaves him on Tatooine at the end of Revenge of the Sith. Of course, in A New Hope, Luke is familiar with this man referred to as Ben Kenobi, but he doesn't really know him that well until we get further into the movie. So it appears that Obi-Wan can have some relationship with Luke and some interaction, but not too much because, it would ruin the canon of the fourth movie. It's still kind of unclear to me as how Darth Vader is going to come into play in this show, because it's between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, so he should just be Darth Vader with the mask, but since Hayden Christensen is returning as Anakin, I wonder if we're going to have some flashbacks or something. I'm unclear on how that's going to work. The trailer also features some music that I think is one of the best pieces of music in Star Wars, if not one of the best in movie history. Now, this is called Duel of the Fates. It was a score introduced in Phantom Menace when they had what was called Duel of the Fates, which is when Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn faced off at the end of Phantom Menace. But Duel of the Fates was continued to be used throughout the prequel trilogy, and I think it is, like I said, one of the best pieces of music used in this franchise. So I'm excited to see that it appears in the trailer and will hopefully be used frequently throughout the show. Well, not frequently, because it's very dramatic and I don't want them to overuse it. But when it is appropriate, I hope they will use Duel of the Fates. We also get to see a younger version of Luke because, of course, he is growing up with his adopted family, who they refer to as Uncle Owen and Aunt Peru. Of course, they're not really his uncle and his aunt, but that is what Luke is led to believe. So we do get to see a younger version of him, where he looks a lot like the younger Anakin we see in Phantom Menace. I'm sure that's intentional because, nothing gets past those Star Wars people. They think all these things through. But yeah, he does look a lot like younger Anakin, and I hope we do get to see a bit of young Luke, maybe, I don't know, like unintentionally using the Force like Harry Potter used to unintentionally use magic. Like, that would be cool. I briefly mentioned Star Wars Rebels earlier. Star Wars Rebels was this animated show that I very much enjoyed, and it features this villain in it who is referred to as the Grand Inquisitor, who is part of this group of people known as the Inquisitors. They work for the Sith, they kind of are Sith, and basically their job is to kill any survivors of Order 66 and Revenge of the Sith. Order 66 is, of course, the order Sidious gave out in Revenge of the Sith to kill all the Jedi. So the Inquisitors, their job is to kill any survivors of that. And in this trailer, the Inquisitors appear for the first time in a live-action Star Wars anything. And in particular, the Grand Inquisitor, who is the villain in Star Wars Rebels. So I'm glad we get to see him with a live-action appearance, just like we saw Cad Bane get a live-action appearance in Book of Boba Fett, but hopefully his live-action appearance will last longer than Cad Bane's did. Even though Obi-Wan has been assigned to look after Luke on Tatooine, the trailer does feature some other locations and even some new planets. So hopefully this show, almost a movie, but I guess it's a show, won't be restricted to just Tatooine, and we can branch out to other planets, and maybe we'll even see Obi-Wan off of Tatooine. We do also see some Imperial ships land on Tatooine, so things are going to get serious in this show. We are going to bring in some Imperials, and it looks like there will be some fighting, if not a lot of fighting, on Tatooine. But a lot of things in Star Wars take place in Tatooine. Like, it's all started on Tatooine. The entire Book of Boba Fett mostly took place in Tatooine. They went off the planet only a couple of times. And so hopefully we can branch out to some other planets, see some action in some other places, instead of, like I said, restricting it to Tatooine. We also get to see a hand brushing away some dirt to reveal a symbol. We don't know whose hand this is or what the symbol means, so hopefully we'll find that out in the show. And at the very end of the trailer, when the series logo appears, we also very vaguely hear the sound of Darth Vader breathing, which again alludes to the fact that we are going to see Darth Vader in this show. So what possible connections could this show feature? Of course, we saw a ton of that in the Book of Boba Fett with people like Cad Bane, Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka, and the Mandalorian all getting involved in that show. So who could get involved in this one? That could be from other series, or they could set up new ones. Maybe even Darth Maul can make an appearance. Darth Maul and Obi-Wan have a very big background together. Of course, Obi-Wan literally chopped him in half in Phantom Menace, and they met up again a lot in the Clone Wars. So I hope we get to see a bit from Darth Maul, maybe towards the end of the series, especially with, I don't know if I mentioned this back in the Boba Fett podcast, but Disney is looking to give Darth Maul a show, so hopefully he'll get involved in this one. Okay, that is it for this episode of the Nerdflix podcast. Be sure to listen next time when we will discuss Alice in Wonderland. We'll talk about the Disney classic, the Tim Burton remake, and some of the other adaptations. And until then, I will see you next time on Nerdflix.
Phone home.
Goodbye, Parsival.
Thanks. Thanks for playing my game.